In this story, the woman went to a job interview and saw a picture of her own mother in a frame on the boss's table. Then she went shocked. In the bustling city of Lagos, there lived a young woman named Adaeze. She was smart, determined, and always dreamed of making her family proud. Adaeze had recently finished her studies and was searching for a good job to support her mother, who had worked hard to raise her. One bright morning, Adaeze received a call for an interview at a big company in the city. The company's name was Golden Future Enterprises, and it was known for providing great opportunities to young professionals. Adaeze was thrilled. She quickly dressed in her best outfit, a simple but neat dress her mother had sewn for her, and made her way to the office. As she walked through the busy streets, her heart raced with excitement and a little nervousness. The tall buildings around her seemed to whisper encouragement, and she silently prayed for success. When Adaeze arrived at the company's headquarters, she was amazed by how grand the building was. The walls were made of glass, and the floors sparkled like diamonds. She was greeted by a kind receptionist who directed her to the waiting area. After a short wait, Adaeze was called into the boss's office for her interview. As she stepped inside, she was greeted by the sight of a well-decorated room. The walls were lined with bookshelves, and a large window offered a stunning view of the city. But what caught her attention the most was the large wooden desk in the middle of the room. On it, among neatly arranged papers and pens, stood a silver frame holding a picture of a woman. Adaeze's heart skipped a beat. She recognized the woman in the photo immediately. It was her mother, smiling warmly in a picture she had never seen before. Confused and shocked, Adaeze glanced at the man sitting behind the desk. He was an older gentleman with kind eyes, who noticed her staring at the picture. "Is everything okay, my dear?" the boss asked with a gentle smile. Adaeze struggled to find her words. That picture," she stammered, pointing to the frame. "That is my mother, but how do you have it here?" The boss looked surprised. "Your mother," he repeated, leaning forward to take a closer look at the photo. His eyes widened as he recognized the woman in the picture. "What is your mother's name, young lady?" "Her name is Chiamaka," Adaeze replied, her voice trembling. "She raised me on her own. I never knew my father." The room fell silent as the boss sat back in his chair, his face pale. "Chiamaka," he whispered, as if lost in thought. Adaeze watched him closely, her mind racing with questions. How did this man know her mother, and why did he have her picture on his desk? "Tell me more about your mother," the boss finally said, his voice soft but urgent. "Where is she now? How is she?" Adaeze hesitated for a moment before answering. "She is at home, in our small house near the market. She is doing fine, though life has not been easy for us." The boss nodded slowly, as if processing the information. "Adaeze," he began, choosing his words carefully, "there are things you do not know about your mother, things she may have never told you, but I think it is time you learn the truth." Adaeze's eyes widened with a mix of fear and curiosity. What could this man possibly know about her mother that she did not? The boss stood up and walked over to a cabinet. He opened it and pulled out an old, worn-out envelope. "This," he said, handing it to Adaeze, "might help you understand." Adaeze took the envelope, her hands shaking slightly. She looked up at the boss, who nodded encouragingly. With a deep breath, she opened it and began to read the contents, her eyes scanning the words quickly. But before she could make sense of what she was reading, the boss spoke again. "You see, Adaeze, your mother and I, we share a past that connects us in ways you might not expect." Adaeze's heart pounded in her chest. What was he talking about? What secrets had her mother kept from her all these years? The questions swirled in her mind, But she knew one thing for sure: her life was about to change forever. Adaeze felt her heart pound as she continued reading the letter. The words seemed to blur together, but she forced herself to focus. The letter was written many years ago, and as she read on, the truth began to unravel. The letter revealed that many years before, her mother, Chiamaka, had been in love with a young man named Adaeze. They were both students at the university, deeply in love and planning to get married after graduation. But life had other plans. Adaeze's family, who were wealthy and influential, did not approve of the relationship. They pressured Adaeze to break it off, insisting that he marry someone from a wealthy family instead. Heartbroken, Adaeze reluctantly ended the relationship, leaving Chiamaka devastated. Shortly after, Chiamaka found out she was pregnant. She tried to reach out to Adaeze, but his family had sent him abroad, and she was left to raise the child on her own. The letter was from Adaeze, written just before he left the country. In it, he expressed his deep regret for leaving Chiamaka and the child he would never know. He had wanted to stay and build a life with her, but the pressure from his family had been too strong. The letter was filled with apologies and a hope that one day he could make things right. Adaeze's hands trembled as she finished reading. She looked up at the boss, tears in her eyes. You're Adaeze?" she asked, her voice barely a whisper. The boss nodded, his own eyes glistening with emotion. "Yes, Adaeze, I am your father." The words hung in the air, heavy with the weight of years of separation and loss. Adaeze's mind spun as she tried to process everything. The man sitting before her, the man she had come to for a job interview, was the father she had never known. Adaeze stepped closer, his expression filled with sorrow and longing. "I searched for your mother for years, but she had moved, and I couldn't find her. When I returned to Nigeria, I tried everything to locate her, but it was as if she had disappeared. I never stopped looking, and I never stopped loving her. When I finally found this picture, it was all I had left of her." Adaeze stared at the picture, a deep sense of sadness and relief washing over her. "Why didn't she tell me about you?" she asked, her voice trembling. "She wanted to protect you," Adaeze replied softly. "She didn't want you to feel the pain of rejection that she felt. She was a strong woman, and she did everything she could to give you a good life. But I am here now, and I want to be a part of your life if you'll let me." Adaeze's emotions surged within her: anger for the years lost, sadness for her mother's suffering, and an unexpected feeling of hope. She had always wondered about her father, and now here he was, standing before her, asking for a second chance. After a moment of silence, Adaeze took a deep breath and nodded. "I need time to process all of this," she said, her voice steady but filled with emotion. "But I think my mother deserves to know that you found us." Adaeze smiled, tears slipping down his cheeks. "Thank you, Adaeze. I understand, and I'm willing to wait. I want to meet your mother again, and I want to get to know you, my daughter." As they left the office together, Adaeze knew that her life would never be the same. She had come looking for a job, but she found something far more valuable: her father. The future was uncertain, but she was ready to face it, with her family by her side. And as they walked out into the bright Lagos sunlight, Adaeze knew that her mother, Chiamaka, would finally have the closure she deserved, and their family could begin to heal.